morning. I am Pastor Stacy. I'm the pastor of the Words of Life True Church of God in Christ in Mableton, Georgia. I almost said Austell, but they just changed our city name not too long ago. We've got a special session for you today. I'm going to introduce our compliance officer, Mother Donna Green. And Mother Donna Green's job as a compliance officer is to make sure that we are in compliance with our health and safety and well-being protocols. And part of her responsibility is to invite speakers out to our congregation to help us keep ourselves safe and informed about what's going on in the world. So I'm going to turn it over to Mother Donna Green, who will introduce our topic and our speaker for today. Stay tuned.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, family. Today I have the pleasure of introducing this beautiful young lady. I met Officer Dixon. I think I was going to meet the mayor. I was going to talk to the mayor, and she was the one that when I walked through the door, the first face I saw, and we started communicating, and we've been communicating ever since. We've been talking. She's a kind, sweet young lady who really cares about the community. You know this because she put her life on the line every day to make sure that we're safe. But now, she might look small, but boy, she's pretty powerful. She can take you down and give you something to think about too. So Officer Dixon, this is Officer Dixon, and she's going to talk to us about just some safety and some things that we need to remember, things that we should know. And if you have any questions, parents, if you have any questions, children, this is the time to ask the questions. Okay, Officer Dixon, can we give a round of applause?
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. It is definitely a blessing and an honor to be, of course, in the house of the Lord with this beautiful congregation. And just like, I call her G Mama. So let's just be clear about that. Yes, I call her, that's my name for her. So G Mama, like she said, we met a few years ago. We just had a magnificent conversation, just right off the bat. It started to blossom into a wonderful friendship and just a tremendous blessing. And we have great fellowships all the time. And of course, she has shared her story. I have shared, some things. And so, I mean, here we are. We're just trying to help, change people's lives and bring awareness, and love, compassion, and to serve, basically. So right now, currently, I am, of course, Officer Dixon, all right? I am working in the school system right now in Clayton County. I'm currently a police officer as an SRO inside our Clayton County schools. Previously to that, I was at College Park PD. I was there for 5 years, and so I'm working on my 6th year in law enforcement. Of course, by me working in the school system right now, it's definitely a different type of situation compared to being out, on the street or the beat. I'm sure you all have heard that before, okay? That when you're on the beat, right? Having these interactions, of course, with the youth is totally different now. We're living in different times. It's not the same times that most of us grew up in. So there's a lot of different types of challenges that you all need to be aware of, and that's what we're going to discuss today, okay? First, of course, we know social media has taken our world by storm, okay? And there are a lot of challenges when it comes to our youth and social media. I see a lot of different situations every single day when it comes to our youth and these social media platforms, and there's so many. It's a challenge to kind of keep up with, because these creators, they're constantly creating all day just to get the attention of our babies. Okay, of course you already know the Facebooks and the TikToks and the Instagrams and so forth. Those are more, more or less platforms that even adults use. But of course, we do have some not so nice people out there in the world, that are trying to grasp, our kids' attention in negative ways. So with that being said, I talk to a lot of parents, day to day, right? A lot of times when I have to sit down with these parents, they don't know the depth of this social media, okay? They don't know the depth of the interaction that their children are having on social media. And that's something that is so imperative, and I can't express that enough. I mean, I really deal with some very, very, very serious issues behind closed doors. And, parents, they're always like, well, I pay attention to my child. I think he's okay. Or, I ask her, is she all right? And she tells me yes. But you have to take additional steps. You have to really keep a close eye. And I'm going to be completely transparent and completely honest, okay? Even in a church home, okay? It's here as well, okay? It's not just, people think, oh, well, my son or my daughter, they're not affiliated with these individuals that's out in the street, and they don't have to. These individuals come to your children, okay? I would suggest highly that you all really sit down and have real conversations with your babies. Real authentic conversations. Because I have also seen in church, I've witnessed it, that people tend to kind of shy away from reality. I know it's tough having those hard conversations, because it's like sometimes you just don't want to face it. It's just like, no, I don't want my kids to be exposed, but they're already exposed. So why not have those hard, authentic, and real conversations? Let's get away from the surface stuff, because what we deal with right now, it is beyond surface, I promise you. I deal with children, definitely with mental issues. They're hurting. Our babies are hurting. They're hurting bad. I'm being honest. I see it every day. I deal with children, for example, they're cutters. They cut. And I mean severely cut. I just recently had a situation where a young man had, I had never seen it before, and I've seen quite a few things, but he literally had cut from his wrist to half of his arm, all the way around. Normally it's kind of like in one area, but it's all the way around. I had never seen that before. So he was very meticulous. Okay, these kids, they have a lot of time on their hands, believe it or not.
Can I say something?
Oh, absolutely.
On this subject, our kids are the most vulnerable, church kids, because we just assume that those conversations that you don't have to have. You have to have the conversation, because the older they get, the more your voice is lighter and the world voice is heavier than your voice. If you don't have those conversations, and it's sad to say, I know about the cutting and all that, because several times I wanted to cut to release my pain. So that's what kids do, and I've seen a lot of that working in the drug field. But our kids, we got the most vulnerable kids, because we're not giving them the information that the parents out there in the streets are giving their kids, because our kids go to church and they wouldn't, because we already told them not to do this, and we didn't talk to them, and they know better. That's what we say. They know better. They know not to do this. We have to have, like Officer Dixon was saying, those conversations, because sometimes you think you know your child, but somebody else knows your child a little bit better than you do. And what we're trying to do is make sure that you have enough information and enough things to watch out for to know what to look for with our kids. We don't want them vulnerable, and we don't want to take it for granted, because my kid is the pastor's kid or the brother's kid or sister kid, and we already talked to them, and they know, and they would never do that. They would never do that. They would do that. So That's why I want Officer Dixon to come and talk to you.
That's very true, G Mama. And also, kind of piggybacking off of that, the bullying, it's horrible. It's horrible. Everyone is being bullied. It doesn't matter what demographic, where you come from, the age, the size, it does not matter. It does not matter. And especially, you know, coming from a church, we already know the outside world, right? The dynamics of that, and you know, you being different, your child being different compared to other children. Their upbringing is different compared to other children. Your principles and morals and values may be a little different than the outside, right? So I have seen that happen within the school system as well, where kids are being bullied, you know, for just being themselves or being different. And that carries a lot of weight, a lot of weight. The influence is unbelievable. I've seen kids, of course, harm themselves, harm other people, drug usage. I mean, you name it, I've dealt with it due to peer pressure. And that's why one of the things, not just in law enforcement, but just in life, period, over time, creating a safe space is so important. Not just creating a space, I said a safe space for your children. Let them know that they can be vulnerable with you so that they want to come to you. They want to come to their mom. They want to come to their dad like, hey, you know, I'm having a problem. You know, I don't know how to deal with this. You have to create that. And I understand all of us, excuse me, we've grown up in different backgrounds, okay? I understand. I may not look my age, but I'm a little bit older than some of y'all might think. You know what I'm saying? So I'm old school, and I get it. But now, like I said, because of the times that we're living in, it's not saying, of course, you know, divert from your morals and principles and values. I'm not saying that at all. But there's a different way you have to approach now, okay? And you do have to open yourself up because these kids are shutting down. I've had situations where the parents, you know, they come in and they're ruling with like an iron fist and this is how it's going to be and da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, that used to work. Now, these kids, they're different. They're more sensitive now. They are facing different types of, you know, of challenges, way different than when we were growing up. So however you have to do it in order to create that safe space, please create that safe space for them. You will definitely get more out of them when you do that. You know, because when I speak with children, that's what I strive to do in my service, is to let them know that you are safe here. Okay? I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to serve and protect you. And whatever that may look like, that's what I do. Okay? I meet them at their level. Okay, true enough, yes, I'm an officer, but I'm a human being first. They need to see your humanity as well. They need to see mom and dad's humanity. All of us, myself included, we've all walked into that closet and picked up a mask. And we wear it all day long. Sometimes we even take it to bed with us, right? And sleep with it. These babies need to see your humanity. They need to see your heart. They need to see your authentic self as well. And that will propel them to be open, okay, and really share their struggles with you. So that's one of the main things I have learned. And even like with drugs, we deal, to be perfectly honest, I've even dealt with athletes, which was kind of surprising to me. With drug usage, it wasn't just, you know, your ordinary child coming in, you know, or just maybe the more challenging children. I mean, these are athletes, star athletes. I just recently had a situation with a couple of athletes that had ingested some edibles. It became very scary because one individual, their body reacted a little differently than the other one. Okay, I had to call emergency, fire and rescue to come and have them checked out. Okay, that's how serious it got. These children are able to order things off of TikTok and Instagram and other platforms. You don't even think about that. Okay, you have to keep track of your child's activity on their phones, or the like the parental parameters that you have, okay, for safety. Absolutely. You have got to watch them closely. And you never know. Weapons. They bring weapons into the schools now. I've literally had to charge children, 12, 13, with possession of weapons inside the school. And I mean felonies. Felony. You have a felony at 13, and that hurts my heart, but this is the reality. Because, even with the school shootings and, things that's taking place within the school systems, people, for whatever reason, they still don't want to believe that this is our reality now. And it is. So we really have to step up to the plate. We really have to, like I said, create those safe spaces, keep a close eye out, on your children, listen to them. Listen to them. Most situations, whether I was on the street, in the school system, most times people, they just want to be heard. And that includes your children. I remember back in the day, it's like, you only talk unless you spoken to or something, I know we grew up that way, but now these kids, they have so much on their minds and their hearts, they need to get out. And they need someone to listen to them.
Because of that, piggybacking on what she said, our children, a lot of times, like she said, are hurting. But what we're not going to do is tell. Not going to tell that we've been bullied. We're not going to tell this because we don't want the parents coming up to school and making it worse. We don't want the students bothering you more. We don't want this and we don't want that. And I've experienced a parent where the child, good child, A student, everything, had great potential, but he got hold to something. Marijuana that was laced. Mine gone. At one time, mom couldn't believe it because he knew better. Yes. She had already told him he knew better. And that goes back to children. Listen, your parents can tell you everything. Officer this can tell you, I can tell you, but you're going to have to make some decisions for yourself. Those decisions that you make for yourself could cost you a whole lot. You got to listen, but you got to make some decisions because we ain't going to be there always to say, don't do this, don't do that. When you're at school, you're on your own making your own decisions in school. You're on your own making your own decisions. You got to make the right decisions because sometimes mom and daddy can't get you out of a decision that you made that you didn't got into.
No, that's very true. Yes, to our children, please, if you need help, don't be afraid to reach out. And even sometimes, if you don't feel comfortable with your parents, at least go to your counselors, because that's where a lot of, the situations I deal with, these children, they come to the counselors. And a lot of times all the time we ask them, well, have you shared this with your parents? No. Because the parents have not created that safe space for them. Or even if they have, they still walk in shame. They're confused. They're like, oh my gosh, disappointment, all the things, right? And especially coming from a church home. And we know how that goes, right? Everybody has their little perfect mask in the closet that they pick up. They don't want to show their humanity. It's time to put that mask down. All the way down. As a matter of fact, bury it. Because that's where we are. You need to bury that mask because life is too real. I've seen death up close and personal, and it's real. It's reality out here, whether you're inside the church home or you're not. But definitely children, talk to someone. Go to your counselor, go to your teacher, if you feel like you can't go to your parents. But of course, we want you to go to your parents.
And to the parents, I know it's frustrating
Because
you're doing everything you can for your children. You're giving them the information, you're telling them everything, you're praying for them, you're praying with them and about them and for them, and you're doing everything, and they still making some decisions, and sometimes you just don't know what to do. I get it. We must keep pushing. We gotta keep doing it though, because at some point, like I said, your voice is getting duller while the world voice is getting louder. So we have to keep doing it. We have to keep praying. And I know sometimes you go in the room and be like, I don't know what to do about this situation or that situation. Because I've been there. Sometimes I'll be like, I'll deal with you later. Because I don't know what to do. And sometimes I just didn't get back to that. I just had to pray about it and just kind of, because I didn't know what to do. It's frustrating as parents. We always telling the children, but the parents is like, well, I'm doing all that, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. And still, it's a possibility, and you just gotta know that it's a possibility. You may not want to say that, but it's a possibility that they're gonna make. No, it's truth, facts. They're gonna make some decisions that you just wish they didn't make. But that's growing pains. They gotta do that. What we have to do is make sure that we're still there, get them that safe place to fall. That's what we gotta do. We gotta give them that safe place to fall. Because we love our children. We do. But just know, so you getting upset and screaming and hollering, if the world is outside doing everything and they're dealing with the school and you don't know at what level they're dealing with bullying and all that, then they got to come and talk to you and you own them because you're disappointed they did this, that, and the other. Now where they going to go? That's when the suicide and all that other stuff come in. That's where all of that come in at. So I know it's frustrating, but still within that frustration, we're going to have to bring it down and rise above that because we want what's best for us at all times.
That's beautiful, G Mama. You hit the nail on the head with that. You really did, because that's true. When they come and they talk to us, they're like, I try to talk to my mom, I try to talk to my dad, but they don't want to listen. And actually, speaking on that, the suicide, we deal with that pretty much every single day. We have alerts that come to through our systems, so basically any children in Clayton County that has been issued a county laptop, right? There's keywords that are, whatever keywords that they put inside of that laptop, and if it's something, of course, that's triggering or alerts us, we get that message. And a lot of it is suicide. And that's even coming from our culture, too. I've never seen it so high, even amongst us, as far as, the ideations and, the thoughts. And sometimes they've even had a plan. So it gets scary. It gets scary. Like G Mama was saying, just these kids being bombarded with so much in their minds. Even us as adults are being bombarded. So just imagine your child.
They don't even have the coping skills.
Yeah, they don't even have the coping skills.
That we have. They don't even have the
Sometimes
coping
we don't have them either.
Exactly. So you can only
we
imagine
need help
your
too.
children. Exactly.
We need help. Right.
Exactly.
Same thing. That's what I'm saying. We in this thing together. And these babies, they need to know, look, baby, mom and daddy, we don't have it all the way figured out, but we going to work it. We're going to get through it. And we're going to get through it together. We're going to get through it, as a family.
That's the key right there. Say that again.
We're going to get through it together.
Because we're not perfect. We're human. And we got to let our children know we're not perfect. We are not perfect. We are human. We make mistakes. We say some things that we shouldn't say. And we got to be able to go to our children and say, hey, look, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I handled that wrong. That's good. I'm not, because we're in raising children, we're not perfect. We just trust in God every day that we can make the right decision. But when we don't, we got to own that. We have to own that and let our children know we're human too. We're trying to get through it just like you. Let's just get through it together. We're going to figure it out together.
Together. Absolutely. That's beautiful. And actually those families that I have come into contact with that has that type of mindset, even when their children have those challenges and struggles, you know, we have seen them rise above, you know, when they grab their baby. Because we already know in some homes, people didn't feel that love. Some people, they didn't get a warm hug. You know, it's like putting food on the table. Hey, that's me showing you that I love you, instead of verbally saying it, or you know, just giving just a warm hug, or you know, a kiss on the forehead, or you know, some people, they weren't raised that way. So it's like if you don't know, you don't know. If you've never experienced it, then how can you express that to someone else, right? But that's what these kids, they need. They need to know that they are cared about, that they are loved, that they are heard in other ways, just besides, you know, well, buying them things, you know, because we deal with that a lot too. I have children, I mean, they have game systems, they have all the PS5s and the switches and
whole apartment in their bedroom.
The whole
everything.
thing. That TV screen bigger than mine. And I'm like, how'd you get that take up the whole wall?
Yeah,
you know, and they have, you know, the latest and the greatest of the, you know, the Jordans and the Dunks and the all these things, right? But there's still a cry out for help. Still. And then the parents are like, well, they have everything. I've given him everything. He has everything. Like he doesn't want, or she doesn't want for anything. But mom, dad, they're screaming out for something else. That has nothing to do with these worldly possessions.
And sometimes the parents is frustrated. Let me tell you a little bit about my growing up in my home. When I was young, 12, 13, 14, I would go to my mom and I get cussed out. Stupid this, you SOB, you did all this here stuff. But I understand it was her frustration. She didn't know what to do with the situations that we had going on. She didn't know what to do, so her whole thing was to reach out and use those words, thinking that those words is gonna humble me down, when actually it didn't. It just took me outside in other areas to do other things, because at home, I got it from the school, I got it from the teachers, I'm getting it in the community because I'm growing up in the projects. It's all about survival. Then you come home when you take that breath. But then when you come home, mama frustrated. She got her stuff going on. She's raising these 4 children by herself, 4 hard-headed, disrespectful children by herself. Wow. And then so we got all our stuff too. Where do you go? You figure it out. You begin to figure it out. So, and that's what I did, made a whole bunch of, still paying for something. But what I'm saying is, because we got such beautiful children here, and I know these parents love their children, and we love this community, even with our frustrations, we got to be able to come to one another frustrated. And not so much like, I don't want nobody to know about what's going on in my household, what goes on in my household stays. How's that working for you? How's that working for you, what goes on? You got to be able to go to somebody, they did this. You might not want to, but you got to go to somebody because of the frustration that we as parents have to deal with as well. We're telling the children to come to us, but then who are we going to?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You hit another one, D Mama. That's true. We got to do this thing together. But I mean, now at this point, I mean, if you all have any questions or anything, concerns, I think I may see a couple of faces with questions.
Compared to when you were on the beat or on the street, is it a lot less stress with you now working in the school system, or is it vice versa?
Honestly, going into it, I thought it may be a little less stressful, but actually it's very similar. There's a lot of similarities. It's the same, but yet different, right? Because there are certain things that I dealt with on the street that I don't deal with in the school system, but at the same time, I'm exposed, to a lot of different situations with the children. So like, for example, where I currently work, I oversee, as far as serving and protecting, about 1,000 individuals. I have like 866 children and 100 or so, give or take, administration, right? And so constantly, that's a big deal. When you have 1,000 bodies, so my mind is constantly thinking, safety all the time with each and every person. And sometimes I have multiple things going on at once. I'm one officer, so I'm bouncing around a lot. Although it's more of a confined area, so technically that's my beat, right? Like my school, that's my beat. Well, I have a middle school, and I also assist with the high school. Okay, so it's like 1,700 at the high school, but I do share that. Okay, with another officer. So yeah, it's different, but yet the same. Yeah.
I'm probably the oldest person in the room. Thank you, wife. The oldest person in the room, and I know I'm the least computer savvy of everybody that's in here. And I remember when our children was growing up, we had ordered some encyclopedias at the same time we got a computer. And I thought that computer was evil. I mean, I really did. I thought that's probably why I still stray from it a lot now. So how deep does this really go? When you say how the children can go places that probably be way beyond my imagination that they can go.
That's how far it goes.
Okay.
That's how far it goes. Sometimes even beyond your imagination. That's where we are right now. It really does go that deep. It really does, because we have people that are creating things even as we're sitting here fellowshipping right now. They're creating ways, to grasp our babies as we speak right now in a lot of different ways.
You gotta realize when the children take their computers, their phones in the room, and they got a whole world. You're satisfied because they at home. They good. They ain't complaining. They ain't doing. They good. They got a whole world right there in the palm of their hand. Can get them in so much trouble. Right here in the palm of their hand can end their life today.
Yes.
Right there in the palm of their hand. Now, I'm not saying don't let your children take the. I'm saying be aware.
Be aware.
That's what I'm saying. Be aware that with our children, and when we give them that device and it's in their room and you got a whole world. It just depends. Again, kids need children. Y'all got to make your own decisions of what you know is right and what's not right, and what you do, because the parents are trusting you to do the right thing on that computer and on that phone. Parents are trusting you to do that. But at the same time, parents, you got to know that it's temptation all over. So you got to be aware of that too. So they got a whole world right there. I mean, I know me. I can be in my room and I'm satisfied because there's a million things I can look at on my phone. So can you imagine the curiosity of the children?
Yes, and the things that pop up, and the people, because, we live in a world where there's predators, and they are lurking everywhere.
Everywhere.
And they come in all kind of shapes, forms, sizes, demographics. It does not matter. And it's more than what you know amongst us. I hate to say it, but it's true. Even some people in close proximity, right?
All they want is an opportunity.
An opportunity.
Just don't want to give them that opportunity.
Yeah.
Don't.
That's true.
So wherever we are, and I was just speaking yesterday, I was telling the people, even when you're in Walmart, okay, you got yours safe, but look around.
Oh, yeah.
Because I guarantee you it's a predator out there. All they want is an opportunity to take one of them children. That's all they want is an opportunity. So look around and not only make sure you're safe, but look around. You might see something in somebody else's that, this character look, because it's going to take all of us. It's going to take this village to keep us safe.
That's right.
It's just going to take this village. So if you just about me and mine, long as mine's safe, guess what? Yours ain't safe. They're not safe. It's going to take all of us.
That's true.
To make sure our children are safe.
That is very, very true. Yeah. That's very true. Because
Question.
they are definitely lurking.
Speaking of predators, now you have predators in the school as teachers, and how do you get kids not to be too close to the teacher where they can say, oh, this is going a little bit too far, and how do they take it to a higher person to let them know that this is happening?
That's a good question. What's interesting within the schools, we do form, relationships, obviously, with the children, and their parents. And sometimes they take, to certain individuals a little bit more than others. I see kids, they may not really care for this particular teacher or what have you, but they take to me, right? But of course, us as professionals and just a human being, we should know, that threshold,
Yeah.
okay? And even if a child were to, try to become a little bit closer than they should, I know me personally, I have conversations with them. I know other professionals that has conversations with them as well, okay, to let them know about boundaries, right? And they do pretty well. I know for me personally, my children, they're very receptive, and we discuss those boundaries and those thresholds. When an individual, a professional has stepped out of line, we have, taken care of that as well, okay? They have been placed into custody, and whatever necessary actions that follow behind that, that's what happens, okay? If you step out of line, because of course we don't want any of us, to step out of line with our babies. That's not why we're there. We're there to serve, we're there to protect and educate our babies. So if you go against your oath, then there will be consequences, and there has been consequences, and will continue to be consequences.
It's kind of like a fine line, because you want to trust, especially the profession. Young lady I know, her son didn't have a dad, so she allowed him to join the church youth, and she checked it out. He had a whole lot of kids that was doing it. So she allowed her son to join because she wanted to give him some kind of male guidance. Pastor got fixated on that young man, took that young man, crossed out of state, took him out of state, branded him on his neck, I think on his shoulder as well, branded him, and they found him. They found him months and months later because God is just merciful. The man was trying to buy a car in another state. Her cousin worked at the car dealership, and he didn't say who he was. He just called her and says, your son's still missing. He said, yeah. He said, I think I see him, and took a picture, and she had to go there. But when she went there, she was going back and forth with the police because he got all the paperwork. He got the birth certificates proving that he got custody of this child when actually he adopted this child. So the child is deceased now because it messed up his mind, So what I'm saying is we want to trust these people. We want to, and we don't want to hold our children so tight because that's a problem too. We just got to trust God to let us know who we can and who we can't. But if you feel any kind of way about anything, go with that. Just go with that until you see physically different. Go. If that's all you got, that's a great thing, that feeling. That's a great thing. Just go with that because we want to. I've almost put my children in harm's way a couple of times because I was trying to get a man to be over my children, and I didn't know. So just got to go with that. But it's just a fine line, especially with the professional. We want to trust the professional. I want to know if I bring my child to her or my grandchild, she's gonna do the right thing, but I don't. Not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure y'all good.
Right.
You already know that. Yeah.
Right,
And whomever
yeah.
I'm affiliated
Right.
with, we have to vet those. We have to vet those people as well. And of course, we pray. We have to pray. We have to ask God for another level of discernment. We have to do it because these people, they come in, whew, they come in all kind of different types of clothes and walks of life, and you just never know. I personally pray for that, just that, a deeper level of wisdom and discernment. And, God has blessed me with it, in this profession, just in life in general. But at the end of the day, like G Mama said, I mean, it's a village. It's a village, and it takes every single last, one of us. And we have to be vulnerable, with one another, even in this village. And don't be afraid of asking for help, especially the parents. I'm gonna tell you right now, especially being in this profession, over the years, I'm a firm believer, of course, and I'm an advocate of mental health. And I have a therapist. And I highly suggest, because I already know the way we grew up, that's like taboo. Like, what you talking about? Well, man, I ain't telling them folks my business. Oh, no, I'm keep them out of my business. But like you said earlier, but how's that working for you?
Right. Since I've been grown, I have.
How's that working?
They know me in every state I go to. I got a therapist that I look for them when I go there.
Yeah.
But I know, I know time is winding up and everything. Any more questions that y'all got for officers?
I had a question about social media, as far as anybody really, but especially the children, the legality of holding or sharing information. I know the kid, my daughter come home sometime and report about these early morning fights and different things, but holding, or not, I won't say holding, but even if you didn't do the video, kids everybody got their phone out. I tell my children to run the opposite way if something happens. But even if you don't do the video, somebody share it with you. What are the legal parameters?
I mean, well, it's a public platform, right? But someone can share something with your child. Now, depending on the nature of that situation, if your child were to share it, right, depending on the nature, then that's where it can become a problem, okay? Like, for example, after the shooting, okay, out by Winder, okay? We had a situation where a child was involved in our area, okay? That was, that was part of it, right? Okay, so we did have to address that particular individual, okay? There was another individual tied to that situation because they were sharing on social media, okay? And like, I have to be mindful of, because, the nature of this situation, but I'm just to answer your question. There was another individual tied to the situation, and that individual, which, the individual was what, 12 years old. And they shared something connected to terroristic threats, okay? One individual was already apprehended, all right? And they were awaiting the next process, next part of the process. And then the other one shared what they had already posted, which put them in a situation now, because they ended up having, getting usernames and passcodes and all of this, and that's how they were implicated into that. And once we had a discussion with that individual, it's like, but they're like, well, I didn't do anything. I just reposted what the other individual had posted. I didn't mean any harm or anything, because the first individual was charged with terroristic threats along with some other charges. And that individual was, I believe, 13, right? So it depends on the nature. We see fights all the time, every week. Kids, they bring me videos all the time of fights. And sometimes my students, they have fought away from school property, but it comes back. And then we have to deal with it accordingly, okay? But it's not illegal, to share, because it's a public platform. but you have to be mindful of the nature.
Hi, so I have two questions. So what are the most three common issues faced in schools today? And my second question, are you ever scared for your life being in the school system, and why?
Good questions. I would say three, definitely bullying. That is huge. That is huge. Drugs is really big. And of course with social media and weapons too. Yeah, vaping. I'll put that under the drugs part. Okay, the vaping, that's huge. That's, whew, you wouldn't believe. I mean, we have 6th graders that are bringing vapes to school. We're catching them with vapes. It's really, really bad. Of course, every single day, you know, I'm not guaranteed to go home, right? But this is what I signed up for. This is it. So I didn't come into this, you know, not knowing, you know, what those challenges would be. But yes, some days, you know, I do. I feel afraid sometimes. I do. At times, even in school, because like I said, overseeing 1,000 individuals, you know, that's constantly in your mind. You know, we constantly like role play, you know, because we have been in, well, I have, because not everyone has been from the street into the schools. You know, some officers, they've only been in the school system and they haven't experienced the street. But I know for me, because I have been in so many different types of situations and scary situations, life-threatening situations, to where, you know, I'm constantly thinking, how could, you know, what would I do in this situation? You know, how would I react in this? What possible outcomes could this be? You know, it's just constantly, you know, going on in your mind. But as a police officer in general, I'm sure most of us, we constantly role play all the time. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, more questions?
Oh, I thought she had.
Are you allowed to carry a weapon?
Yes, ma'am. I have a weapon on me right now. Yes, ma'am. It's a part of me. It is, yes, and especially in this profession. Yes, it becomes part of you.
More questions?
Thank you.
We appreciate our panelists.
Thank you. Thank you.
We hope that you have gotten something from the conversation today. And one of the main things that I'm hoping we remember and know is that our children are special. They need our time and attention, not just our stuff. Let's lean into them. Let's become a safe space. Becoming a safe space does not mean that we don't exercise discipline the way that we are supposed to, but it does mean that we maybe speak less in terms of fussing, and that we lean into knowing what they're doing with their time and who they're spending time with. We hope that you've gotten something out of the conversation, and we hope that you stay tuned for our next service. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.